Fight fans, welcome to the PBC podcast, brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions with your host, Kenneth Bouhairie and Michael Rosenthal.
Welcome, everyone, to the PBC podcast. I'm Kenneth Bouhairie, and with me, as always, is USA Today boxing junkie editor Michael Rosenthal. Summer is upon us, and boxing is back, ladies and gentlemen. We got to see two cards last week, not necessarily big names or even good matchups, but still good to see some action, any action, I think, right?
Yeah, I was glad to see it. It's kind of, the matchups weren't great. I think Shakur Stevenson's a pretty big name, but the matchups weren't that good. And the card on Thursday was just bizarre. I mean, I had three quick takeaways, and I'm focusing just on the second card. One is Jesse Magdaleno won the fight. He looked really good in moments, but I thought he was disappointing. He just threw so few punches and never really made an attempt to take charge in the fight. So I have a question for you if you want to weigh in it. Is it enough just to win a fight? Now, I say no, not if you see yourself as a star or a potential star, because that's pretty much what he did. He just did just enough to win the fight.
I think it's enough to win the fight, but I think that looking with regard to Jesse Magdaleno, I think the real issue is that perhaps he's just not as good as he was initially thought to be. I mean, he was beat down by Isaac Dogbe couple years back, never looked that great. I don't know if there's some sort of issues outside of the boxing ring, but he's been fairly inactive as well, or at least was leading up to that fight. So I wasn't really surprised by how he looked last week. He's a good fighter. He's got good skills, good talent. He just doesn't seem to be able to put it together. And his opponent's actions were just ridiculous.
That's my second takeaway. Yeah, the NFL Vicente, he had 4 points taken away because of 3 low blows and a late punch before he was disqualified. Thank goodness. Right. So I have another question that maybe you can answer. Does a guy in that situation, a guy who just blatantly flouts the rules, deserve some kind of punishment? I say yes. I say you got to set a standard.
I think it depends on what they do. If it's repeated low blows, I think the disqualification is punishment enough. Losing the fight is punishment enough. If they do something a little more egregious, bite an ear or something like that, then I think that warrants further examination.
Yeah, I think that, and I know that the Nevada State Athletic Commission is looking at doing something else because it was just so. It was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous, and it just really made boxing look bad. Second card back, after the coronavirus lockdown, and this is what happens. And then the third thing, really fast, is the ratings weren't very impressive for either card. I'm not really sure what to say about that, except I'm disappointed. I thought the cards would do well after such a long hiatus, even though the matchups weren't that great. Maybe they needed to be better. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Shakur Stevenson is that big of a name. He's a big name, within the hardcore boxing community, but outside the hardcore boxing community, I don't think he's that big a name yet. Yeah, and I think the numbers reflect that. And I also think none of the names on these cards were that great, and the matchups really didn't do the sport any favors. I would have liked to have seen better numbers, but I think that the card deserved those numbers. There weren't any great fights on the card, great matchups, big names, nothing spectacular at all. So no reason for the casual fans to tune in, and I think that's why we saw what we saw. Now, also last week, Ryan Garcia, your boy, made more headlines, although this time because he feels he's not getting paid enough for what would be a July 4th bout versus an opponent to be determined. Garcia was supposed to make $200,000 essentially for a tune-up. And the reaction to his complaints, and he has been complaining about this, has been a little bit mixed.
Yeah, part of me, my reaction's mixed myself. A part of me says, listen, he's still a prospect in my mind. He hasn't beaten a big fighter yet. A part of me says, just win a big fight and then you get to complain. But as you've mentioned to me off the podcast, you reminded me, he drew 10,000 people to a fight. I think the most important thing is not where you're at in your career, but your drawing power. I think if you put people in the seats, then you earn the money. $200,000 seems pretty low to me. I understand that DAZN's in a little bit of a spot here because of the long hiatus, but I understand why he's complaining.
Yeah, I understand both sides. I'm not privy to all the details, but I know that Garcia recently re-upped with Golden Boy, so it seems strange that he'd have an issue with his so soon after doing that. However, I also know how open-ended these contracts can be. I mean, we've heard the horror stories. We saw what happened with Mikey Garcia. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's a sliding scale of some sort, if he was expecting more. Nothing. But I do know that in this business, the devil is in the details, and I suspect we may see more or hear more about this in the months to come. Now, let's get on to some good news. One, BoxingScene.com's Keith Idec reporting that PBC on Fox will return on July 25th with welterweight action in the main event as Jamal James takes on Thomas Dulorme. Obviously, this isn't official, but it was a fight that was originally slated for last April, only to be postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. And it's a damn good matchup, Mike.
Yeah, so this sort of speaks to, or we can go back to what we originally were talking about with the top rank cards, with the ESPN cards. This is a genuine 50-50 fight,
Right.
which is what I guess was missing in the first couple of cards. James is a hot fighter. He's won 6 in a row since he lost to Yordenis Ugas way back when. Dulorme, I thought, pumped some life back into his career by fairly easily outpointing Terrell Williams. September. The winner is in position to fight for a welterweight title of some kind. I like it. I think this is what boxing needs, and I think it's going to be well received.
Certainly, and it's a big test for Jamal James. You mentioned he hasn't lost since the Yordenis Ugas bout, which was about he took on just a few days' notice. So perhaps he's better than he looked that night, and he has looked better. He's closing in on the world title shot. He needs to get past Dulorme, who's always been a solid fighter, but looks even better, I think, at 147. He had the draw with Jesse Vargas back in October 2018, and as you mentioned, he easily outpointed Terrell Williams last September. Williams' first loss. So Dulorme's riding high. James, the excellent boxer puncher from Minneapolis, had a bit of a tougher time than I expected, actually, when he took on Antonio DeMarco last July, but he managed to find his rhythm and outwork DeMarco to win a decision. He also showed a lot of heart in that fight, and Mike, that's not the only place he's showing heart. James and Circle of Discipline, which is a local non-profit organization that he works closely with, combined, they've really been serving the community in Minneapolis, which is a community divided following the death of George Floyd at the hands of a policeman several weeks ago. James and Circle of Discipline have opened up the doors of their gym in Minneapolis, pushing all the boxing equipment to the side to make room for canned goods, cereal boxes, bottled water, toiletries. You've got volunteer workers filling bags to be delivered in a caravan of cars or to distribute to community members who arrive on foot. Elderly folks can now get food and other essentials delivered to them. And it's really brought the community together. I mean, so many people and companies have chipped in to buy items for distribution that there isn't any boxing taking place at the gym. But Mike, I'd say what's going on there is a little more important and a little more fulfilling.
Kudos to Jamal James. That's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. It's just heartwarming to see with everything that's going on. James is a true ambassador for the sport. And speaking of the sport, let's outline the rest of this show. We're going to have former world champion Rau'shee Warren joining us this episode. Plus, we've got our mid-year awards during the toe-to-toe segment. But let's kick things off with our first guest, welterweight contender Justin DeLoach. Justin, first things first, how are things going down in Georgia?
Man, everything is going great for me and my world. You know, I've been definitely working hard, been training hard, man, staying out the way, man. I've really been locked in the gym, honestly. That's the only place to be.
Now, been quite a few protests down there regarding George Floyd. I believe there was another killing recently, and just involving systemic racism overall. What are your thoughts on the situation?
Oh, man, it's sad, man. It's very sad, man, and heartbreaking, man, especially with, the George Floyd situation. And now you got something rolling over towards a whole nother incident that happened right here in Georgia. I'm 2 hours from Atlanta, and they saying it's going crazy. But my heart goes out to them because it's just sad that, how everything's just turning out and how, the world is battling right now. It's like a civil rights movement going to happen or something, and it's sad. It's very sad.
So you have been able to train with everything that's going on. Yeah.
Man, I've been able to stay focused and stay training, man. Y'all know how my career, man, what's been going on with me, so I have no choice but to stay focused and keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. So you're from Augusta, Georgia. That's the home of Paul Williams. Is he someone you looked up to coming up?
Oh, man, definitely, man. Paul Williams, definitely, man. I also Vernon Forrest, man. You know, Vernon Forrest was the first, champion from this way. So
that's right.
I always looked up to Vernon Forrest, man. And Paul, me and Paul actually worked for one of my fights. So, man, me and Paul actually got a great relationship. So, yeah, I definitely looked up to these guys and definitely knew that, I could be able to make it out, you know what I'm saying, by seeing them guys do it.
Those were two incredibly good fighters, weren't they?
Yes, sir. That was great, man. Awesome, man. So it was actually awesome just to even be able to train, Paul and kind of have some of his advice, coming in my ear. So that was kind of great.
Yeah, you've been around a lot of boxing people. It seems like you've been around the sport a long time. How did you first get involved in boxing?
Oh, man, I started boxing when I was 8 years old, man, just being in the neighborhood fighting. And my dad, he just was like, man, I'm going to sign him up for boxing. And then he finally took me to the boxing club. I had got in like this one little fight, and he was like, I'm finna take him to the boxing club. He actually took me to the gym that Vernon Forrest started at with Tom Morales down at it's called the Boxing Club. And when I got there, man, I fell in love with the sport, and I never looked into nothing else but boxing.
Wow. Well, we're thankful that happened. Funny enough, we had Eimantas Stanionis on the podcast last week. Now, you were slated to face Stanionis prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, and he says he expects the fight to be scheduled for August or September. Is he still your target?
Man, definitely still my target. Definitely still my target. Definitely still pushing. That's all I see right now. We've been preparing for him. You know what I'm saying? And, starting with him, you already know how it's going. That was going to be the perfect bounce back fight for me, take his oath and just keep moving,
Now, we love the style matchup between the two of you. How do you see the fight playing out?
Man, nobody's going to beat this Justin DeLoach in my mindset right now, man. I've been in the sport for a long time. I turned pro at 18. I went through my trials and tribulations. This is the toughest fight yet today. I've been in the ring with a lot of monsters. I done took my L's. I done beat guys. I'm going to come out on top hands down, you know what I'm saying? No, nobody stops me. I'm literally locked in the gym every day, you know what I'm saying? I got a room here, you know what I'm saying? So, man, well, my mindset is no choice. It's nothing but to win. There's no other choice but to win. So, in my mind, the fight already done. I'm just getting ready to get, to the fight and to play it out, you know what I'm saying? And he's a tough fighter. I'm taking nothing from him, but I just know where I'm at right now in my life.
Very good. I love the confidence. This would be your third fight around the welterweight limit. You previously fought at 154 pounds. What made you move down?
Man, I always been a smaller and linkier guy. I used to make 54 easy, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, man, I just these are the times where I kind of wish Vernon was still here, because, you never had that person to actually tell you how it goes with weight and stuff like that, man. And I was making 54 so easy that somebody was like, man, you should punch on 47. And then I made 47. I kind of make it easy. And I was like, man, I'll be dangerous and more fast and sharp at 47. You know what I'm saying? Because I was actually holding my own at 54. But I said, man, I'll probably have a chance better at 47. And plus, it's some great fights at 47 also, just like it was at 54.
That makes a lot of sense. Tell us the differences between the weight classes in terms of how it feels.
Oh man, it feels different because actually I'm a bigger 47, so I'm not the one. I don't have to always be the one boxing on my back leg. You know what I mean? I can kind of push the action if I have to. You know, I can be quick, be sharper, and I'm taller. I'm 6'1". You know what I'm saying? And so I got a lot of advantages at 47 for me. You know what I mean? And I actually can handle a lot more than now I can do at 54.
You mentioned before that you had a bit of a rough stretch, losing 3 of your last 4 in close fights, including a decision loss to the current unified 154-pound champion, Jason Rosario. Looking back, what do you think went wrong?
Man, to me, going back to camp, man, just started back with not having a stable team. Basically, just not having the proper training camps, man. I fought this 10 rounds. Not in the best shape I could, and still felt like it was a close fight. I still would outbox them the first 5 to 6 rounds. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel like it was a draw to me. You know what I'm saying? The last knockdown wasn't a knockdown. You know what I'm saying? So that showed me where I was at in my career, because I was like, man, you got somebody like J-Rock in there getting stopped, and you got me going in there not even the best shape that I can be, and I'm in there taking him to 10. and really getting caught on mistakes that I can fix. That's being defensively irresponsible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was like, man, that showed me that when I be a champion, I'm going to be a different type of champion than all these other champions because I know, you know what I'm saying, I'm a different fighter.
Now, did you make any changes to your corner following that fight or in recent times?
Yes, I definitely made a lot of changes, man. Had to go with people with a little more experience with dealing with professional fighters, dealing with me and knowing my style and know how to coach my style. Strength and conditioning, man. I'm a boxer, so strength and conditioning definitely got boosted up to the maximum because I got to be in shape to box on my legs. So that's the first thing I did, man. I wanted to get the best of the best strength conditioning coach, and I did. And that was the biggest thing. And now I got Stevie Demon and Raymond Weber in my corner, man. We rocking it out, man. We got a perfect system that's been working for me.
Now, some fighters would lose their confidence after such a difficult run. How have you maintained yours?
Because I'm different. You look at all these other athletes, man, they you know, I took it as I haven't took the easy route. You know, I'm an old school fighter. You know, you look at all the greats, they suffer losses, but they was fighting some of the top best fighters. If you're looking at the guys I've lost to, you're looking at Nathaniel Gallimore, you're looking at Jason Rosario, all these guys are top guys. These are not the fights that I was supposed to lose. This is 50-50 fight. You know what I mean? Of course, they came out on top, but it just showed me right then and there that I'm not taking the easy route. You know what I'm saying? And I got my opinions about how I feel like a lot of these fighters go. They're very well managed, but my route is just different. So I don't look at their route and judge my route. I just say, hey, I'm a different fighter. When I become the champion, it's going to mean way more to the world than what these guys are doing now.
You just led me to my next question. So you're still only 26, yet you've been in the ring with a lot of tough guys, maybe more tough guys than most guys would face. Is that something that you did on purpose?
Oh man, it ain't been on purpose. It's just me coming up from Georgia. That's the only way we know is to fight the best. You know, I didn't. You know, coming up, man, like I said, we didn't have that guidance of our advisor to say, hey, look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build your career. No, I didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I wouldn't have even did it. You feel me? But it just my cards just felt different. I had to take the tougher fight. And you know, don't forget about the 4 losses and also the 6 win streaks. When I took a lot of guys undefeated records too, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, man, it was just how my cards is dealt. But I love it because it's my story, and I can really say, man, I came up in an era where I was doing things a lot different, and I'm still gonna be on top. You know?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, you're facing all these tough guys. You win some, you lose some, but I'm wondering if maybe that's a good route in terms of the learning process. Maybe in the end you come out ahead. Does that make sense?
And that's exactly how I see it going. You know, I pray about it every day, and I look at how it's going, and I look at how I'm training, and I say, man, maybe it's for me to have the longer haul. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a marathon person, so I'm always looking at the second half. I always tell myself now, from 18 to 25, I was 18-4, but from 26 to 30 to 32, I got to be undefeated. You know, I'm starting over in my head. You get what I'm saying? And that's something that I tell myself. You know, that it's a new chapter for me. I'm 26. I'm way more mature in the ring. I'm way more mature as a man. So now it's like a new chapter for me.
So with this new Justin DeLoach in the new division at welterweight, in your opinion, who's the best 147-pounder on the planet aside from yourself?
Man, Errol Spence, man, you got to give respect to Errol Spence, man. His work ethic, working hard, inside out the ring, Terence Crawford. Man, I like all 47s, man. It's some dogs in 47. You know what I'm saying? But right now, you got to give it to Errol Spence, man. He's been working hard every fight. He come up, he show out. You know what I'm saying? He you know, so I'm definitely giving respect to Errol for that one.
Now, so you mentioned how great of a division it is. Who are you targeting?
All of them. I mean, this is boxing. I want the Arrows. I want the Keith Thurmans, the Sean Porters. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of them. You know what I mean? Like, I deserve to be there, and I will be there, and I'm going to work my way back to get up there. This is boxing. I'm not here for friends. I got kids. This is my friends, and I got brothers. You feel me? I want to fight all the guys. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love the confidence. I love what you're saying. We're looking forward to those fights. Justin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience. We wish you well, and we hope to see you back in the ring again soon.
Man, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all for having me on. And just thank y'all for just rocking with me, give me a chance to tell my story. So I'll see y'all soon.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Be well.
Take care. All right, it's time for our toe-to-toe segment where Every week, Mike and I go back and forth on a topic or two, but with the return of boxing, and as we're in the heart of June, it's time for our 2020 Mid-Year Awards. Now, granted, there isn't a lot to go on, but still enough to dole out kudos to those fighters who we believe deserve it thus far this year. And we've chosen several categories: Fighter of the Year, Fight of the Year, KO of the Year, Upset of the Year, Comeback Fighter of the Year, and Breakout Performer or Breakout Performance, however you want to phrase it. But so let's do this in reverse. Let's start with Breakout Performance. Now, Mike, I struggled with this one a bit, as I really think Stephen Fulton's impressive win over Arnold Kagai certainly turned heads and put the world on notice that in a stacked super bantamweight division, the undefeated Fulton may turn out to be the best. But my choice for breakout performer is undefeated IBF World Super Middleweight Champion Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. Now, some of you might point to his title-winning effort last year, 2019 in January, versus Jose Uzcategui as his breakout performance, and I get it. But Mike, I was at Bridgestone Arena for Plant's homecoming title defense in Nashville, Tennessee, against mandatory challenger Vincent Feigenbutz, and let me tell you, they came out for their native son. I mean, the place was packed. He delivered a sterling, pristine performance, knocking out Feigenbutz in the 10th round, and the fight was seen by nearly 2 million people on Fox. So to me, that's a breakout performance, and Plant is my choice in this category.
Okay. Okay, so my runner-up, if I can call it that, was Jason Rosario. His knockout of Julian Williams, I think, he sort of took the next step in his career with that victory. So anyway, my point is, before I tell you who my choice is that we could have gone a lot of different directions with this. So I went in a slightly different direction for you. I was looking for somebody who took a giant leap in his career, and the guy I think took the biggest leap was Joseph Diaz Jr. Jojo Diaz, the former U.S. Olympian. He'd failed in attempts to win a major title and a secondary one. He lost on the cards to Gary Russell Jr., and then he failed to make weight before he outpointed Jesus Rojas. That precluded him from winning the belt. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether Diaz would ever get over the hump, and then he did. Tevin Farmer was one of the hotter fighters in the world when Diaz stepped in the ring to fight him. And I thought he won a fairly convincing decision, a decision I thought was closer than the cards might indicate. So that's it. Diaz is my breakout guy.
Not a bad choice. Let's move on to the next category, Comeback Fighter of the Year. And Mike, you lead the way.
Okay. I thought about Mikey Garcia after, he really took one on the chin against Errol Spence Jr., but I decided to go with Roman Gonzalez, former number one fighter, pound for pound. He'd already won back-to-back fights since he lost consecutive bouts to Srisaket Saurambhasai in 2017. If you recall, the second one was a brutal knockout. I think a lot of people wondered whether the Nicaraguan was still even an elite fighter. And he proved against Kal Yafai on February 29th that he has a lot more to give. It kind of surprised me. I'm not shocked that he won the fight, but I'm shocked that he dominated like he used to when he was in his prime. He gave him a boxing lesson for 8+ rounds, and then he knocked him out in round 9. That was just vintage Gonzalez. Just really surprising to me to some degree, but really, really impressive.
I agree with you, and that's why El Chocolatito Roman Gonzalez is also my pick for Comeback Fighter of the Year. Guy was a former 3-division champion, a legend, was thought to be on his last legs following those losses in 2017, but we were really wrong. That was such an impressive performance, a throwback performance, and he becomes the first 4-division world champion from Nicaragua, breaking his tie with Alexis Argoyo. All right, let's move on to the next category. I will start this one, and it is Upset of the Year. This was also pretty tough, Mike. I think Robert Helenius's TKO win over Adam Kanowski last March was certainly shocking, but to me, nothing was as surprising as what you referenced a little while ago and what occurred last January when Jason Rosario stunned unified world super welterweight champion Julian J. Rock Williams, stopping him in 5 rounds. This was supposed to be a happy homecoming for Williams, who was fighting in his hometown of Philadelphia for the first time since becoming champion. But instead, it was a disaster as Rosario turned in a shocking performance, becoming the new unified champion and securing some serious paydays in his future.
So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised that we're on the same page with a lot of these because there aren't that many options. So my runner-up, again, if I can call it that, was the Helenius upset over Adam Kownacki. But I went with Rosario over Williams too as the upset, and it's mostly because of the way that I perceived Williams, going into the fight. He had scored that incredibly impressive victory over Jared Hurd, and I just thought this guy that was a big step in his career. I thought he was rolling on, onto greater, bigger and better things. Then he steps into the ring with Rosario, and Rosario stops him in 5 rounds. Rosario was a little bit under the radar, but I think people who would follow his career knew that he was a really good fighter, probably had a chance in that fight. But man, oh man, he looked like a beast. That was really something special.
Yeah, he did, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. Hopefully we get that unification match versus Jermell Charlo. That could be a special fight. All right, it's time for KO of the year. Mike, who do you got?
Okay, I thought that Tyson Fury's knockout of Deontay Wilder was the most important knockout of the year. I'm not even sure anybody could argue against that. But I thought just in terms of just sheer, violence, in terms of how spectacular it was, Ryan Garcia's first round knockout of Francisco Fonseca was pretty amazing. Now a little bit of background. Garcia had already generated a great deal of intrigue with 2 early knockouts in 2019 last year. And he just added the excitement against the veteran Fonseca on February 4th. Single left hook, just not relieved him of his senses and just took our breath away only 80 seconds into the fight. That's one of the reasons that Garcia is so popular. He's got this charisma and he's got that power.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. My choice for K of the year was Ryan Garcia's first round knockout on Francisco Fonseca as well on Valentine's Day, no less. Just a beautiful counter left hook that was thrown so fast that it might as well have been the lead shot, and it was thrown with force. So, Francisco was gone before he hit the mat. Ryan Garcia, to me, he looks really, really good working with trainer Eddie Reynoso. I expect to see more highlight reel stuff from him as his career progresses. All right, let's move on to fight of the year. My choice was a perfect example of why they call boxing the theater of the unexpected. Last February on PBC on FS1, what was supposed to be a showcase fight turned into one of the most fun-filled affairs I've seen in a while. Raymond Guajardo was an undefeated 19-year-old middleweight prospect with a sizable following who many expected, to become a world champion. His opponent, Clay Collard, or Cassius Clay Collard, as some call him, was an unheralded boxer and an 18-18 MMA fighter. Collard figured his boxing career wasn't going to last much longer than this fight. I bet he's thinking different now because, like the original Cassius Clay, he shook up the world, or he just, rocked Raymond Guajardo's world. Maybe that's more what happened. But anyway, they went to war from the opening bell. Guajardo was intent on an early KO, but found himself on the canvas courtesy of a perfect right hook midway through the first. So what does he do? He picks himself off the floor, and of course Collard attacks, rushing in, trying to close the show, and Guajardo floors him with his own right hook, and the war is on. It continued until the second round when Collard just he put a beat on Guajardo, pounding away until the fight was stopped in his favor. So it was a feel-good story, a feel-good fight, and in my opinion, the best one so far this year.
I remember that, but that was a lot of fun. I went with a bigger fight. This was a tough one for me, actually. I actually considered the Rosario stoppage of Williams, which I thought was entertaining. I just thought that Robert Helenius's 4th round TKO over Kownacki was just nuts from the opening bell. So I went with that one. As most Kownacki fights are, he just came out firing away. And I thought to myself, okay, here we go. How long is Helenius going to be able to survive here? Remember, Helenius was like real factor in the heavyweight division like a decade ago. And I didn't even know where he went for a while. But I'll just add a little bit of information before I continue. He had said before this fight, listen, I feel better now than I have in many years. He basically said, I'm going to surprise a lot of people. So anyway, as the fight progresses, I realized, wait a second, Helenius doesn't seem to be going anywhere here. And he's fighting back. Then in round 4, just boom, boom. He puts Kovnatsky down with a right-left combination, gets up, then he follows with a flurry of just crazy hard shots, and the fight stopped by the referee. And I was just like, wow, this is just really nuts. It was just really, really fun to watch. And I think the fact that it was such a big upset just added to how fun it was to watch.
It was, and I hope we get a rematch of that as well. I know there have been some whispers about that, and I just love to see what happened. That first outcome was so surprising. I don't know what would happen the second time around. Okay, it is time for Fighter of the Year, where I suspect we'll agree as well, but let's hear what you got, Mike.
Okay, I had a runner-up in this one too, and that's Jason Rosario. I still think that was just a tremendous victory over Williams, but the fighter of the year couldn't be more obvious. It's Tyson Fury, slam dunk for me. Fury and Wilder had fought to that controversial draw in December 2018, and the rematch was on February 22nd in Las Vegas, and it really wasn't. In the end, it really wasn't competitive. Fury had said beforehand he gained all this weight and he changed trainers, and he said, listen, I'm going to knock this guy, and people kind of laughed, yeah right. And then he went out and did it. He really beat him up. He put Wilder down in rounds 3 and 5, stopped him in round 7. I mean, man, oh man, that was a heck of an accomplishment. I mean, in one fight, he just, to me, in my mind, he just sort of became the king of the division.
Yeah, he's, I think, the obvious clear choice for Fighter of the Year for 2020 thus far. And, it's amazing, though. We're so used to the mind games from Fury and the bait and switch and so forth, that when he openly declares what he's going to do, and then he went out and got Javon Sugarhill, Stewart, went to the Croc Gym. I mean, how much more did he have to do to show us that he was serious?
Good point. Yeah.
About trying to get the knockout, but he's so good at mind games that even then we weren't sure. We were like, he's probably still gonna box. Right. But clearly the fighter of the year thus far. Huge win over Deontay Wilder. Hopefully we get that third fight soon, because I'm itching to see how all of this is gonna play out. All right, that concludes our toe-to-toe segment this week. It's time for our next guest, former bantamweight world champion and 3-time Olympian, Rau'shee Warren. Rau'shee, first, how are you and your family doing during these times?
We actually doing pretty good. Our family not really that big. We got the small little family we got. As far as like my mom and her 4 boys and all our kids, we pretty close. So we've been, staying strong, praying that all this stuff is, gonna be over with real soon. And all through that, besides that, my older brother, he's my personal trainer, so he made sure I'm training, doing this quarantine stuff anyway. So I ain't got no choice.
Wow. Now, following the death of George Floyd, we've been seeing protests take place all over the country. How is the mood in Ohio?
The mood been kind of crazy a little bit, down in the downtown area. There's been a lot of protest stuff going on, and it's been kind of peaceful too. It's just been crazy with all this is going on, and having to explain what's going on to my kids, and and that's one thing that I ain't think I had to do, as far as, with this, black and white stuff going on, all this racist stuff going on. So, it's different now, during this time. Like I say, we just trying to keep everything together and keep everybody, lift high and keep smiling.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about how the coronavirus pandemic's affected you. You sort of responded to that already by saying that your brother's pushing you to work out. So you've been able to stay in shape pretty much just as you would before the coronavirus?
Yeah. I've been able to stay in shape, some type of shape, because right before the coronavirus started going on, I had actually went up to Toledo, Ohio, with Robert Easterin, and we was about to get a training going on, but that week the corona stuff start hitting strong, and at first we weren't believing it, but it started becoming real once they started putting curfew out there, and I had to hurry up and get back home to my family and figure out what was going on and rush to the store buying all these supplies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just crazy. That it was crazy just seeing them lines of people. I'm like, Dad, this look like real life. I hope don't nobody turn into zombies because this wasn't looking like a movie. I'm like, everybody going to buy extra weapons, because they got to protect their home. Everything getting crazy. Like people losing their jobs and getting laid off. So I was just praying that, like I say, all this over with and everything get back started. I'm just ready to get back in the ring, and I don't care if it ain't nobody in the audience. I just want to do what I love and finish doing what I'm loving.
Sounds like you're with us. You just kind of want to get back to normal, I guess, right?
Yeah, can't wait, man. Can't wait to, just be excited. They announced my name, Rau'shee Warren, from the blue corner, his opponent, whoever that might be next. I just can't wait to just hear all that, to my ears, and just this world just be at one.
There you go. So once boxing does resume, once you get back in the ring, do you plan on working out in Ohio, or do you plan to head down to Barry Hunter's camp in D.C.?
In Ohio. I'm going to do it in Ohio. I'm going to stay home, even though everything might open back up, I'm still going to play it safe and, keep it at home and, like I've been doing anyway. So, and go from there.
Now, speaking of Ohio, there have been so many great fighters to come out of there. What do you think it is about that state, your state, that produces so many great boxers?
I don't know. I always think, when I look at the map, I see Ohio. I look at Ohio like the heart, like we the heart of the map, like, and I don't know what it is about us, like maybe because a lot of us, we short, we small, and we I don't know, we may have little man syndrome or something. We just like fighting, and it always just been great fighters, just been coming out of Ohio, like, and making Olympic team and becoming world champions, and I don't know. I always used to be thinking like that, like Ohio, like we got some great fighters coming out of Ohio. They got like real big names. Yeah. And we definitely go in there and we definitely put on for our little state.
Now, who were some of the boxers you admired when you were coming up?
When I was coming up, Aaron Pryor used to be hitting the pads with me when I was in the gym when I was 6 years old. Yeah, all right. But yeah, he used to be hitting the pads with me. That's so funny because I always tell people that I used to be hitting AP used to be doing the pads with me. Getting me just showing me stuff, getting me ready. So I could get ready for my first fight at 8 years old. But Aaron Pryor was one of the ones, but he was one. But Ricardo Williams Jr.
Yeah,
he was like, he's my idol. He is my idol. I follow everything he did, how he moved, how he walked, how he boxed. It was just everything about him. That's what I wanted to be. So I just try to mimic everything he did. So I watched what he did in training when he was sparring Dante Craig when they was getting ready for the Olympics. Dante Craig, yeah, he fought 147 if you remember. He was on the Olympic team in 2000 with Ricardo Williams Jr., Dante Craig. I used to watch them spar all the time, and I used to be like, man, I got to, pick up some moves. But he was one of the ones. And then also Ron Seiler, which was one of my teammates in the 2004 Olympic team with me. He was leading the way, and I was following him because it was a lot of things I didn't know when I made the Olympic team. I was only 17 years old, so he was just showing me a lot of things. How to be patient in the ring. And how to, attack when it's time to attack us. I used to just go in there and just let all my punches go, and I'll just win a fight, because I had fast hands, and it was hard to get over that. You couldn't beat nobody with had fast hands, so I was throwing probably 100 punches around. Yeah, John was one of the main ones who I can name, who I used to look up to all the time when I was in the city in Cincinnati.
No, it was Ricardo Williams. He was such a great fight. I remember the amateurs, and you could even see the skill as a pro. Is he still around boxing? Does he train, or does he do anything involved with boxing still?
His son actually, he got his son actually be boxing sometimes. But they live down in he lives down in Houston, Texas now.
Okay.
But he visit here. He visit here sometimes. He come, to the gym when he can. But his son be boxing, stuff like that. But yeah, I feel shame. I always love when we see each other too.
Cool. Rau'shee, last time we saw you in the ring was in February when you pretty much shut out Gilberto Mendoza over 10 rounds. You looked good. Did you do anything different leading up to that camp or leading up to that fight?
I was trying to learn how to place my punches when it's trying to, get rid of the guy and knock him out. Because, over the times when I'm fighting and I happen to hurt my opponent, I get overwhelmed and get too excited and not sit down on my punches, just try to go just throwing all my punches real fast and not just taking my time. So that fight, I was trying to, sit on my punches more and try to, get him out of there. And he was a tough cookie. I'm talking about, I was hitting him with the refrigerator, the microwave. I was hitting him with everything. He just wouldn't go down. So when I got in the corner, my coach, Mike Sanford, he like, look, man, we got to switch it up. He taking everything. He gonna hurt your hands in a minute. I'm like, you right, because my knuckles was I had to put ice. When I got in the bag, I had to put both of my hands in a bucket of ice because my knuckles was just hurting just for just punching him so hard in his head. Like, and then I think in the 8th round when I was throwing him punch, he had head bumped my head when I was throwing. He had hand bumped my hand when I punch him. Like he knew what he was doing. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta switch it up. I gotta try to attack that body. But yeah, it was just I don't think I switched up. I was just trying to sit down on my punches a little bit more and let them feel my power.
Interesting. That was your first fight in over a year. What was behind that layoff, and what did you do during that time?
I had a fight. I was gonna actually have a fight on a fight. I think when Robert Easter had fought. I want to say the Cuban guy. Was it the Cuban guy? No, it wasn't the Cuban guy.
Or
yeah, I don't think. Was it? What fight was that after that?
Granados, Adrian Granados, I believe.
Yeah, it was one of them fights. Me and Robert was supposed to fight. I was scheduled to fight with Robert, but
Barthélemy. Are you talking about Barthélemy?
Yeah, him. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, him. Yeah. I had cut my eye in sparring, and I had to get stitches, so I had to push the date back. So that's what made it end up turning into a year. It had ended up turning into a year, because I had to, get back in the gym, start back training. And then when I talked to my manager, I just wanted, get some rust off, see what I had to do, see what I was missing. That's why, I chose to fight him. But he was a real tough cookie. But I'm ready to get back in there now. I'm ready to, to get back in there with the Wolves.
Yeah, I was going to ask, being off for 13 months, I guess there's a sort of a rebuilding process to shake that rust. Is that a difficult position to be in?
I thought it was until I got in the ring and I started fighting, and then the way I was fighting, how I was going about it, and I was shading him out. I feel like the rest was pretty much gone.
Cool.
Has there been any word on when you might return to the ring?
I'm hoping it could be September. I'm hoping. I'm hoping I could just at least fight one time this year before Eric over is said and done with. One time.
Now, do you know if you'll campaign at 118 or 115 pounds?
Nah, 118. I went back up to 118 because when nobody fight me at 115.
No, well,
that's the only reason why I went back up to 118. Like, I was trying to get fights, but people won't fight me down there after I had fought the Puerto Rican guy. After I fought the Puerto Rican guy in New York, after me and him fought, ain't nobody want to fight me yet. So I moved up to 118 because I get fights at 118 than I did at 115.
Is there anyone you're targeting at 118?
Rigondeaux.
Ooh.
Well, like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Rigondeaux.
I like that too. It appears that Nordine Obali, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, is going to defend his title against Nonito Donaire next. You lost to Obali last year. Would you be interested in maybe fighting the winner of that bout?
Yeah, I definitely be interested in that. If they willing to fight me, if they willing to fight me, of course. You know how the game goes. You gotta get a shot at the title. It ain't your turn. Yeah, you know how the game goes. If they willing to fight me, I will fight them.
Who do you think wins that fight?
He more of a, I don't know. It's gonna be a good fight. I don't know. I can't put my finger on which one because I want to fight. I wish it was me fighting. That's why.
Now, you mentioned Guillermo Rigondeaux as somebody you're targeting. Why him?
First of all, him fought in the amateurs. Let me get that out there.
Wow.
We fought in the World Cup. Yeah, we fought in the World Cup over in, is it Azerbaijan, I think, over there. And I was actually fighting 112, but Gary Russell Jr. was at 119. He didn't come to this event because he had broke both his hands in a fight, in a boxing match. So we all went over there. It was me. It was who was it? Boo Boo, Demetrius, Andre. It was Danny Garcia.
Oh.
It was who else? It was a couple more people over there. So boom, the first night we had fought Kazakhstan, and then the next day, the 2 nights after that, it was USA versus Cuba. So I was fighting 112, but I wanted to go up to night 119 because Gary Russell won there, and I didn't feel like losing weight, and I wanted to eat. So that's why I ended up fighting 119. So boom. So
how did it go?
Me and Rigondeaux fought. He beat me. It was 20. I think he had 22, and I had 18 or 19. It was I think he beat me by like 4 points. But I wasn't mad that I lost. I was more happy that I was able to get closer to beating him than nobody else because nobody else couldn't beat him in the amateur. And I challenged him different than a lot of people did. And my speed was a problem to him.
Sounds like it'll be a good fight in the pros.
It was more fun to me because it was like when I got in the ring with him, it's like, guess what clicked in my head? I'm in a ring with a world champion. He won 2 gold medals, and I ain't win nothing yet. So I'm like, okay, first round, I went into the zone when I fought him. I'm talking about when I went into a zone, I went in tunnel vision. And when I tell people about tunnel vision is real because I went into a zone that only saw him. I heard my coaches and I saw him. I didn't hear nobody else. I'm talking about after the fight, I walked out to the ring. I sat down on the bench. I smiled. I looked over at my teammate. I'm like, Dad, where we at? He said, well, what you mean? Like, I'm talking like, Dad, like, where are we? Like, he like, we at the fights. We all like, man, where is we? Like,
that's focus.
So he started telling me what country we was in, what everything. So now I'm scared because I couldn't really remember because I was still stuck in my tunnel vision. Like, so I went to the doctor, boom, talked to him, and then everything just started coming back to life, like coming back to my memory. Like, then I was like, Dad, I was in a tunnel vision that deep, so focused that I knew who I was competing with, that I was able to shut everything down, block every little thing down, the target, and focus on my target who was in front of me. I say, man, that was amazing.
Sounds like you rise to the occasion when you've got a great opponent in front of you. It makes you step your game up too, right?
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't mad that I lost. I was mad that I competed against him and what type of level he was on at the time, and I gave him a problem, and I know he knew that because I mean, I knew I gave him a problem because he knew that. I saw that I gave him a problem. And I was just smiling like I don't know how he was feeling, but I was just smiling like they looking like he lost, but I'm smiling. I'm like, yeah, like okay, if I ever fight him again, I know what to do. Like I gotta take his right hand away. I mean his left hand away.
Yeah. Wow. Now, Rau'shee, you're pretty.
If he line you up, it's over.
Yes, it sounds like a good fight, good style matchup, and something that could actually happen.
Yeah, and it'd be great at 118 at that weight class too. It'd be great. I feel like it could be one-on-one type fight. It could be on fights like, say, if when Deontay Wilder get his rematch on the pay-per-view, it could be me and Rigondeaux on the undercard or something.
Wow, I like the way you think.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Now, Rau'shee, you're a 3-time Olympian. You've already won a world title. What else would you like to accomplish before it's all said and done?
I want to get one more title. Just one more, and then hang it up. It's gonna be hard trying to hang it up, but because this is what I'm used to doing. This is what I'm basically was born into doing. Like boxing is how I live. Boxing showed me and my family the world. We traveled, we moved around. So getting one more title, that's definitely that's what I want. That's gonna be for me because some 2 titles that I want is for my mom.
Wow. Well, Rau'shee, we're definitely rooting for you. We want to thank you for joining us, of course. I hope you and your family stay safe, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon.
All right, thank you. I hope I'll talk to y'all real soon, too. I hope we could be talking about my opponent now, what I'm going to be doing to beat him. I hope it be that talk.
Hopefully it's Rigondeaux. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Take care, Rau'shee.
Take care, Rau'shee. That concludes this week's show. We want to thank Rau'shee Warren and Justin DeLoach both for joining us and you for listening. As a reminder, the PBC podcast is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find ours. So for myself and Mike, thanks again, and be sure to check us out next for more boxing talk right here on the PBC podcast.